Hello everyone, welcome to episode 8 of the Butterfield Alpacas and Fiber Arts podcast. I am Tashia Butterfield, your host, alpaca rancher and fiber artist. I crochet, knit, spin, and do pretty much anything I can think of with my alpaca's fiber, and I show you all of those things in this podcast. You can find me on Instagram, Ravelry, Twitter, and Facebook. Links to all of these things are also down in the description box below in the show notes, at the bottom of the show notes. You will find all those, so if it's easier for you to just copy and paste to find me on other platforms, that is there for you. Down in the description box, while I'm talking about that, is the show notes. So anything I talk about in this episode, you will find there. There's also a Ravelry group for this podcast, and there will be a post or a thread for each episode over there as well. So you can choose to comment here on this video or over in Ravelry. I will find it either way. At the top of the show notes, you'll find timestamps for this episode. For every topic or segment, there will be a timestamp. So if there's something that you know you want to hear about, you can skip right to that or skip over things that don't really interest you. So you can hop around the episode as you would like. In this episode, I'm going to briefly talk about the KAL that's coming up June 1st. Then out at the ranch, I have kind of a collection of videos I've been taking over the last couple of weeks. For those of you who watched all the way to the end of episode 7, you knew that there was going to be 2 weeks before this video would be released. This is just a crazy time of year for me. You know, May, June, it seems to be like the busiest time, and I just can't make it less busy. It just is. So I knew that I had to not produce as many episodes as I was doing before. There was just not enough time to do all that. So that may continue throughout the summer, but I will discuss that at the end of this episode. What's happening in the summer, that will be later. I'm saying, oh yes, the collection of videos. So over the last couple of weeks, I've just been taking videos of different things happening, and so there'll just be a collection of those videos to kind of catch you up on what's happened. Then in the studio, my mother is going to show you how to felt dryer balls. I talked about dryer balls in a previous episode and all the steps I took all the way up until the actual formation of the ball, which is the felting step. And at the time of making that video, I didn't have things ready to actually felt in order to show you that. I just kind of described the process. But my mother is here helping me create product for an event we have coming up, which I'll also talk about later. And so I asked her to kind of show her system. She's come up with her own strategy of how to make these that turn out really nicely. And I have had a few people ask me specifically about making dryer balls and wanted to know more than what I had talked about in that previous episode. So you're going to see that in the studio, the actual making of those balls. And then TB strings and things. I have a couple things to update you with. At the very end of this episode, I'll talk about what to expect this summer for this podcast. Something you can be expecting in the next few weeks and throughout the summer as time allows me is I am going to be taking segments of these episodes, the podcast episodes, and making them their own video. For example, the dryer balls. We have the segment from a previous episode as well as the one from today's episode. I will put those together and they will be a video all their own just about dryer balls. The reason I want to do this, a couple of things. People ask me about specific topics or have specific questions. For those that ask me about dryer balls, I can refer them directly to this type of video that's just about the dryer balls, and they don't have to watch a whole episode, or in this case, watch 2 episodes in order to get that information. I can just put them together in a small video that they can watch and get exactly what they were looking for, as well as I can promote certain topics that I've covered to bring people over to the podcast and back to the channel. So it'll just be easier to reference people to and also to promote if I had smaller length videos about specific things. So when you see videos coming up in the channel that's not an episode, just know that that's what it is. I'm just taking parts of episodes and making them their own video. You can choose to watch those if you want, but if you watched all the episodes, obviously you've seen everything, so you wouldn't necessarily have to watch that. But just be aware, those will be popping up in between publishing future episodes. Some of you have also shown interest in wanting to learn more about my alpacas, like each alpaca on their own. And I don't have plans to really do that within the podcast, because in 2016 I made a video for each alpaca and llama that is a part of my herd. So I have, I don't know, 30 something videos. Each week I featured one animal. I talked about their backstory, you know, where they came from, certain stories I have about them, features about them related to alpacas in general. So there are some educational things kind of thrown in there too. But for those of you who just want to learn about a certain animal and kind of get to know them better, that is where you want to go. I have all those videos in a playlist, starting with Riley, who was my most popular alpaca. Everyone loved him. He was, I don't know, 9 months at the time that I took his video, and he's about to turn 2 years old. So what I may be doing in episodes are more like updates, like Riley, who's going to turn 2 years old next month. Kind of a follow-up thing in episodes might be more appropriate, but to redo all of those features of a specific animals, it's like me doing all that work all over again, and I would rather dedicate time to new topics and new ideas. So if you wanted to learn about specific animals in my herd, go watch that playlist. Oh, but I was talking about, it starts with Riley, and some of the more popular ones are in the beginning of the playlist, and then the rest are kind of chronological. I started off being chronological, but I kind of changed my mind about that. Let's talk about the Alpaca KAL that's coming up June 1st. I will likely not release another episode before it begins. So this is going to be our kickoff right here, starting June 1st. For those of you who are not familiar with this, the Alpaca KAL is going June 1st to August 1st. So we have 2 months to focus on making something out of alpaca yarn. If you're not familiar with alpaca yarn, go back and watch episode 7. I go into detail about what makes this fiber different than other types of fiber, especially compared to wool, which a lot of people are really familiar with. And based on the information, how you make choices of what you're going to make with it. Alpaca yarn is not good for everything. Like wool is. For wool, you can pretty much make anything you want. With alpaca, that's not the case. You need to really understand kind of the characteristics of it and how it behaves in order to make a good choice about what to make with it. So that was episode 7. Go back and reference that if you haven't already. And if you are all ready for this KAL, what I would like you to do is make sure that you are a part of the Ravelry group. The link for this group is down in the description box in the show notes. And in Ravelry, make a project page for this, whatever you're making for this KAL, and share it over with the group. That way we can all track and see what each other is doing, and it'll be a really easy way for me to choose the winner of the giveaway that I'll do at the end of the KAL. As for me, I have not made my project page yet, but what I am going to do is restart these alpaca socks that I had done, I don't even know how long ago. This has been in hibernation for quite a while. It's still on my DPNs. And the reason I'm going to start over with this is I've learned more about socks, knitting socks, since I began this project. And I want to do this in a tighter gauge. And I also want to do it on magic loop rather than DPNs. And the other reason was I wanted to try a different type of heel. I don't really like this. I mean, it's a fine heel. I have socks made with this heel. The first socks that I ever made were of this heel, and that's totally fine. But I wanted to try something a little different. And since I want to do a tighter gauge anyway, I mean, you can see, I just want it to be tighter. So I'm just going to frog this. It's the first of the pair, so it's not a big deal. And I'm just going to start over. And what pattern I'm going to use for the sock, I haven't quite decided yet. This is the same yarn that I used in my fingerless mitts that I did in previous episodes. So it's 70% alpaca, 30% wool, which is great for socks. And I had debated about adding nylon to it, but with the durability of alpaca, if I do it in a tight gauge, I don't feel like I need to add any nylon. I think it's going to stand up really well over time, and I'm not really worried about it wearing out earlier than other types of fibers. And the reason I want to do alpaca socks is because alpaca on your feet is awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And in the winter, having to go out and do chores, I need my feet to be really comfortable. I need them to be warm. And that's why I decided that for this KAL, I am going to make socks. I have this charcoal color. I also have some skeins in brown. So we'll see how many socks I actually get done for the KAL. Certainly the charcoal ones. I definitely want charcoal socks. And if I do a second pair, I might try a different heel or do one toe up, one cuff down. Like you can see, this one was cuff down. I think I'm going to try and do a toe up for the KAL as well. Just kind of change things up a bit, get some new experience with socks. And yeah, so what are you going to make for the KAL? Comment below or over in the Ravelry group. Remember to link your project page, share your project page to our group so we all know what you're doing. And then we'll be set on June 1st to go right ahead. Someone did suggest that we have a hashtag for this KAL. And guess what? Alpaca KAL is not used by anybody. Not on Twitter, not on Facebook, nowhere. So this hashtag is what we're going to use for this KAL. You can use it anywhere on social media that you want. And that's another way that we can track and share what we all are doing. Now let's head on out to the ranch, and I'm going to just show you a collection of videos that I've taken over the last couple of weeks and what I've been up to out there. Welcome to the ranch. Today's been a big day of tasks, really. Most of these things weren't even on my list of things to do when I came out here, but, you know, once I start doing one thing, it leads to another, and, well, I've done a lot more today than I usually do when I come out, but we're in this time of transition, you know, right before shearing, so I'm preparing for that, getting ready to breed, do some breedings before and after shearing, and just kind of like the general transition from cold weather to hot weather. Today was the perfect time to do that. It's around 80, and I don't know if you could tell, I've been sweating a lot, doing all kinds of things, but the barn is pretty warm. All the alpacas were warm because they still have all their fiber on them. So I did a lot of watering down and some other things, and I'm going to show you what I've been up to. This is one of my cats. This is Charlie. Say hi, Charlie. Yeah, Charlie's actually a girl. Uh-huh. I'll give her attention in just a bit. And I have another cat out here too, but she must be off hunting or something. Let's see, this whole area in here I kind of have redone. There used to be a pile of some alfalfa that I didn't want the alpacas to eat, and so that got hauled away. Planning on shearing one of the llamas tomorrow or the next day. Thunder, he was actually set to be sheared this morning. Llamas we shear standing up, so I have this chute just for that. And the girls are all in here for a couple of reasons, mostly because I just opened that door over there, which is an opening that was created last year because I'm wanting to create a separate group, like a pasture and part of the barn. I'm going to split off from the main part right here. I've been calling it a nursery because that was my original intention, is for when babies come. The moms and babies are in there. I can give them a special diet and that type of thing so they can get special attention. It's not built out yet, but this door was put in for that purpose. So this year, I'm anticipating, we'll put a division here in the barn. So that third of the barn, which would include this last stall, would be used for that group. Alpacas are very curious, and so of course when I opened that up, everyone had to come check it out. The other reason that they're in here is because the fan, you can see in front of that doorway, I turned on just the other day. I realized, that's been up there all winter. It was put up for last summer and it's just kind of stayed there. And I had remembered it on one hot day and thought, oh, you all would really enjoy this. So yeah, they're in here. It's on a timer, so I have it set for the hottest hours of the day that it's turned on. And alpacas know, they love routine, they remember, so they come in here to enjoy that fan. This video was taken on a very windy day, so much so that I'm doing a voiceover, but it was cold and rainy, and I'm just briefly showing you here what happened when our state got 3.15 trillion, with a T, trillion gallons of rain, which was last week. The pond there overflowed its bounds, and the water flowed off to the left. I'm going to pan over and show you it went all the way over to the gate. And the previous day, all that water was standing there, and I thankfully wear rain boots every day for different reasons, but I was able to walk through all of this and fix some of the fencing that had come out. And all that gunk that's on the ground was pushed into this fence by the flow of the water, and it pushed the bottom of the fence out. There's actually a portion coming up here where the fence was ripped open at the base. You can see all this stuff from the neighboring cornfield. There it is. This is where the break was. The top was still attached, which was good, but the bottom, because all that gunk was pushing up against the base of the fence, it caused the break to peel open. So I had to fix that a bit, and this was all in standing water. All of it was under standing water. I've never seen water in this area before, just in the pond and north of the pond, but not in this area. You can see how muddy it is. It was still pretty soft as I was walking, taking this video. You can even see footprints from someone who walked over there. But even next at the opening of this gate here, you can see all the stuff underneath of it that I need to go and clean out when things are dried up. But I put in some wire so that no one could sneak through that little opening next to the gate. I would not want the grown boys over with the young boys, then sharing a fence with the girls. That's just problematic. So the water flowed from that gate across the picture here to the other gate, which goes over into the girls' area. And now I'm going to show you what it's like from the girls' perspective. Now we're looking from the other direction, and that gate is in the background. Kind of hard to see, but it's out there. And I'm standing next to an area that is actually created for some water flow, water runoff, but I've never seen it connect all the way across the property like it did the day before this video was taken. But you can see there that how it was all crafted out, and Charlie's following us again. But the water would have flowed all the way through here under a culvert that goes below the road. And you can see all the stuff on the girls' side here where the water levels were, because all that gunk here, again, all the corn gunk is over on the girls' side as well. Today we are cleaning out the barn, and I don't know if, oh yeah, you can see the tractor in the background. Oh, maybe not, he just went past the trees, but you'll see when he comes back up. All the girls were up by the barn, which is right here. And once that tractor started going through the pasture, they had to see what was going on. Okay, you can see the tractor way down there. So the alpacas had to see what was happening. And for the next, I don't know, hour or so as we clean out the barn, they're gonna kind of be uneasy.
Can I pet the alpacas?
That's my friend's daughter who's cleaning out the barn for me.
Can I pet the alpacas?
This looks like a lot, but last year there was more. Yep. So this dark area here is from the pea poop pile. The dark areas are wetness, grossness. This is my kitty Bonnie. She has been missing for a week. Haven't seen her for a week. I was so scared that she died somewhere. But here she shows up today while we're cleaning the barn, and she's dirty and skinny and something wrong with her eye. But she's alive and she's acting fine, so she must have gotten hurt and just hid herself till she healed. Now she's back home and it's like she wants to show me something. See her eye? Wow. We'll take her to go get her eye cleaned up. This is my sweet Bonnie. Bonnie, look over here. Honey. Yeah. Oh, so glad she's home. Did she get it? Oh, I think she got it. Yeah, they're arguing over who gets the treat. Do you need another one for Joy? Joy's right here. Yeah, we can't get through. Yeah, I'll take one for her.
I got one.
Oh, there's some that fell on the ground down there, Tasha.
Where did it go? Oh, here we go.
Well, these are too little for you to, you're going to have to...
Well, someone slobbered all over this one. Who wants it? Okay.
They're too little, you have to do flat.
One. Oh, one is running away. And the other one's
Oh, I'm going to go help her shoveling again. We're almost done here. Here you go, do this. Here, Joy.
They're not used to eating that out of the bowl, though.
Oh, just dropped one. Got two little ones?
It was a little one. Here's a little, who wants a little one? That was Thunder's mouth.
No, hold it full. It's too little. You don't want them to bite them. They don't do it on purpose. But
These are horse treats. They like the apple flavor and peppermint flavor.
no.
I find that the apple flavor is a bit softer
Okay, Joy wants one.
and it's easier for them to chew, but they like both flavors.
Here, let me hold it flat because I'm
Oh,
afraid
she
she'll
got
pick
it.
Yeah, it's too little. All gone.
Now we hold up our hands, say no more, no more, all gone.
All gone.
Then they know.
All gone.
Stop begging.
See, they know that. See,
Yep, they know to stop begging.
That's it.
The alpacas have realized that there's nothing to fear. Starting to relax. And they're eating the weeds. They can't get to any grass, so they're eating the weeds. And some of them, you saw, just gotten up, so they're relaxing, and the light will adjust so you can see they're eating there. It's an alfalfa bale. Alfalfa brome bale, anyway. So they're just waiting to be able to go back out. But they got water. They're good. It's a cool, windy day. The girls are out here grazing. Thankfully the sun is out today, but it is, as you can tell, very windy. And the temperatures are not going to get very high today. They're going to stay in the 50s. It's Charlotte looking straight at us. Come on, what's happening? What you gonna do? You gonna give us any food? Look at all that food you got around you, Charlotte. It's all that green stuff. But they're out here just relaxing. You got some cush. That's what we call it when they're on the ground like that. With their legs underneath of them. That's cush. And then Rose rolling a little bit. You just saw Gus get up. Blocked a bit by Charla, but oh, thought she was going to go down. It's very interesting the way they get up and down. It's very similar to a camel. Alpacas are cousins of camels, so the way that they fold their legs to get up and down is very much the same. Well, there, Charlotte did it for you. Down, rolling dirt, up and shake. That's pretty typical. There's Gus. There was a dog here the other day, and it was the first time I ever saw Gus have his guard instincts show a bit. He was very cautious of the dog. He was on that dog, watching just like the other llamas were doing. So he is being raised to be a guard. He's doing a good job. Thunder's gonna come check us out. Lindsay. Going, oh, what's happening? What's happening? They're all following Thunder. But Thunder's just going over here in this corner to the gate. Well, here's an example of where you can see how these two groups share a fence. So on the left side would be where the moms are. And on the right is where my young boys are, so when they're weaned, they get to share a fence with Mama. Now, Roman there experienced that. Roman's there right in front. And his mama, well, she's way in the back there. But Gus is his full brother. So yeah, they would be able to share this fence and see each other, and you can tell these two groups get to see each other, cush, graze near one another, kind of thing. The alpaca on the right there is Riley. He experienced the same thing. His mama's over here. His mama's Rose. I don't see her. She's way back there, cushed in the grass still. And Roman, he's so social. He just wants to meet everybody. And a lot of these girls he knows. He grew up with them. So he knows. Since he was 1 month old, he knows a lot of them. Alright, now we got Bruno coming over, joining the party. Because everyone's over here, so what's up? Look at the way Roman's pressing up against that fence. He really wants to be over on the left side. Hi, guys! Kino's first one was to give kisses. Thor. Hi, Thor. Hey, bud. course. Cowboy, he's warming up. I think he's a greeter. Are you a greeter, bud? He doesn't give me kisses yet, but he'll be right up here checking me out every time I come. Oh, we started a new poop pile. All the boys. Sorry, it is so windy today. So windy. Storm coming this afternoon, so I'm sure that has something to do with it. Everyone's here. They got water. Obviously, they got lots of food out there. No one's injured. The day is good. Hi, guys. Next up, we're going to head over to the studio, and my mother is going to show you her strategy for felting the dryer balls from the bats that I showed you in a previous episode.
And I'm going to tear these in half.
All right, so you do these in batches of 4.
Yes, I do them in batches of 4.
Because 4 fit in a nylon.
Right.
So we have 4 bats here, and you're splitting each bat
in half.
In half.
Yeah, and as you taught me, it's easier to split it this way and not tear it that way.
Yes.
Yeah. And if I noticed anything, I get that. So I get all 4 of them ready. So when we go to felt them, we don't have to stop to do this again. Okay. And I keep these in order. I make sure that I'm felting these 2 together. So I do this. I keep my system, right? You understand what I mean? Make sure I get the 2 ounces and don't mess that up.
Yeah, the 2 halves have to come from the same
Right.
bat, so you maintain your 2 ounces.
Right. So then you want to get your gloves on because you're putting your hands in a lot of water. And I just take this and I start making a ball. And I'll twist it different directions to make sure we're getting a tight ball in there. Get that nice little ball. And we're going to take that and put it in hot water for about 10 seconds, squeezing it about 8 to 10 times. And then we're going to stick it in cold water and do the same thing, about 10 seconds. Squeezing it about 8 to 10 times again. And we're going to do that one more time. And about 8 to 10 more seconds.
And you found that doing the core and then the outside separately
makes a nicer ball, yeah. It makes a firmer ball. If I do it all at one time, it's softer and a little squishier. And I think the firmer is better when you're wanting to put it in a dryer, hitting up against your clothes. So I'm going to put soap on that and just do that a little bit, and then we're going to squeeze that out of there.
And the soap we use is the original Blue Dawn.
Yes, works great. And then just leave that into a ball. And I'm going to set that one down in the sink here. And I'm going to do my next one.
So you do all your cores, your 4 cores first.
Yes, I do all my 4 cores. And are we wanting to do all 4 cores?
However you do it.
Or if you want to just do one at a time. So we're going to do the next core. And that way that cores are sitting in the sink felting also, because they're wet and they have soap on them. I'm going to do the same thing. It's taking you about 40 seconds to do each one. I don't know how long it takes to do a set of 4, but you can do 20 of them in about 3 hours. Okay. And put a little soap on this one. Once it gets wet in soap on here, it really just kind of
Starts matting together.
yeah, just kind of blends and pushes. And just smooth that out a little bit. And we're going to set that one down in there and do our next one. So I've got all 4 of my inner cores done, but I want to take the very first one that I did that's been sitting here for a little while. Okay, and then we're going to wash this to get the soap out of it, since it's going to be in the center of the ball. We want to get some of this stuff out, so I'm just going to do that and then rinse it. Get that out of there a little bit. You can see that that's already felting. And we're going to take this one and go back to our very first bat that we had. And we're going to put the outer fiber on this one. Just rolling it and twisting it like we did the core. And there we have our 2-ounce. Another 2-ounce ball, and we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to put it in here for about 10 seconds, squeezing it in the warm water. And then we're going to go into the cold water, another 8 to 10 seconds. And we're going to repeat. Between the warm and the cold water and the soap creates the felting process. And we're just going to do the same thing with this and get ourselves a nice soapy ball. I'm going to squeeze that one. Get ourselves a nice little ball, and then we are going to end up here, which I have 4 balls that I've already done that are ready to go. I'm going to set this one in. So we have our 4 balls that are ready to go into a stocking. We're going to grab a stocking here.
And we just use these knee-highs.
And then I'm just going to take this stocking and put the first one in here. We're just going to do this. Set it right on there. Pop it in there. And then we're just going to put a knot so that they are separated from one another inside the stocking. It holds it secure. And that's...
Never mind these. These are failures.
Yeah, something happened to those. I'm going to stick the next one in there. You can get 4 2-ounce balls in one stocking, knee-high stocking. You can tell I've done a few of these. Okay. And this one. And I usually, on the last one, it's a little easier for me to do it without gloves because
There's not much of it left.
yeah, you're running out of stocking a little bit. And there we go. And we're ready to go into the wash machine on warm water and let it agitate for about 5 minutes and then check it. And as soon as the balls are firm, then you can take them out of the stockings, and then you run the wash machine, just run them at a full cycle, and then they go into the dryer.
Full cycle of hot wash, cold
yeah.
rinse?
Yeah. I will even run these for 5 minutes and then switch my water to cool, and then run it back into warm water to make sure that they're felting. But as soon as you start seeing fiber coming through this stocking, you better get it off, because the stocking will felt right to this fiber.
Like this one.
Like this one did. And
it's stuck on there.
And you won't get that off.
Yeah.
So,
Don't do that.
So that's why I say just run it agitate it for about 5 minutes and check it, because that's about all it'll take.
So you've already started the felting process, so
Yes.
it just needs to finish firming up.
Correct. Right. And then once you just run it through a full cycle in the wash machine, then it just goes into the dryer to dry. And you can put them in the dryer several cycles to make sure that they get really firm. And you've got your dryer balls.
And there you have it. That is how dryer balls are made. We take a lot of time to make sure that our dryer balls look good and function well. We sell them in sets of 3. You really should use at least 3. 3 would be for a small load. If you tend to do larger loads, you'll want to use up to 6 of them. So 3 to 6 is a definite range that you want to use in your dryer, depending on the size load that you have. If you like fragrance, you can add essential oil onto the balls. Just let that oil kind of soak in for at least 10 minutes, even overnight if you want. And that fragrance will be released by the heat in the dryer onto your clothes. If you're interested in purchasing these dryer balls, you can find a link down in the show notes. Now let's move on to TV strings and things, which is going to be pretty short because I've not gotten a lot done. I mean, if you can consider making dryer balls and some of the other things that I've done to create product, fiber arts, then I've done a lot of things. But in terms of spinning, knitting, crochet, I haven't done a whole lot. Once I have family with me, it's like that's one of the things that just kind of falls to the wayside. There's so much activity going on, so many things to do, that those types of things tend to be pushed off. But before my mother arrived, I did get a bit of stuff done. Not a lot, but these are my afterthought everything socks, which I'm wondering how long it's actually going to take me to finish this doggone thing. I started carrying this around as like a time filler because it's such a small project, and I can slide the sock onto the cable and it won't fall off or anything. It's always there, easy to pick up and put down as I need. And it's a small thing that I can carry around with me easily, so I have found that I've been starting to do that. At the same time, it's my first sock being made from fingering weight yarn. And I know this is a very popular weight to make socks out of. Like, it's the weight that you use to make socks. And you can get used to it, in which it being so small is just kind of the norm. But it's been a challenge for me. I'm someone who tends to work with worsted weight. Like most of my crochet knitting life, worsted weight yarns is what I tend to use. What I've made socks with previously have been DK weight. The same brand as this yarn, which is 3 Irish Girls, but a different colorway. I crocheted socks, so I worked with fingering weight, but it was with a hook, and in crochet, crochet stitches are bigger than knit stitches. So I'm finding a challenge to be patient as this grows. It's almost like excruciatingly slow. And a part of that may have to be with coming from a crochet background where I'm used to fabric just working up a lot quicker. So between it being knit versus crochet and fingering weight versus worsted weight, obviously I'm sitting here knit, trying not to pull my hair out because the stitches are so doggone small. But I'm taking it as an opportunity for personal growth. Honestly, that's what I decided. I was like, no, I want socks from Fingering Weight. I want to make this product. I want this item. I want these socks on my feet. So I have to put in the time to actually make it, right? Yeah, so I am learning to enjoy the journey making socks. Yeah, so obviously I'm going to take a break from these during the KAL to make my alpaca socks, and that's in a DK weight, so that won't take as long. But yeah, I'm turning this into a opportunity for personal growth by knitting socks. The other thing I have to tell you about, and if you follow me on Instagram, you already saw this, but the part for my spinning wheel came in from Estonia. This was the flyer bobbin whirl piece that I needed. Here's the old one, or the original one, in which everything was there except the orifice. And now I have one. Actually, you can see I got yarn coming out of that. And I also purchased the Craftsy class about beginning with your spinning wheel. One of the things that the instructor there, and I forget her name, but I'll put a link to the class down in the show notes. One of the things she takes you through is wheel games, spinning games. And it's pretty much just to kind of get you familiar with your wheel. You're not actually making yarn yet, you're not spinning yet, but you're getting used to how your wheel, specifically your wheel, works. Treadling, changing tension, changing ratios, and just kind of getting a feel for all the different features and functions of your wheel. And one of the things that she said to do was to use some waste yarn and sit at your wheel and let the flyer take in your yarn and fill up your bobbin. So you're not making new yarn, but you're getting a feel for how your wheel takes in the fiber and how it loads onto the bobbin, how you change. Oh, she told me what these things are called and I forgot. I call them pins, hooks. What do you call these deals? Where you change it as you go. So again, just another exercise to get you familiar with spinning. And this is where I came into a problem because the yarn is not taking onto the bobbin. And I haven't looked into this for a solution. I haven't looked into a solution for this. I haven't asked anybody what I should do. This came while my mother was here, and I sat down for like 30 minutes and did what I could on the wheel just to start to get a feel for it. I ran into this issue and I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I'll take care of this later. So if you are a spinner and you know why the bobbin was not taking up the yarn, I even taped it on here. I tried different ways of attaching the yarn, and it's just, when I spin it, it's just not taking it up. Like I can do this and it's taking it up, but when I'm doing it on the wheel, it doesn't do that. And I thought, well, is the yarn too thick? I don't know if it's pretty well in there. It seems to have plenty of space. Maybe the yarn's too thick. I don't know. Maybe I'll have an answer for you by the next episode, and maybe I'll actually be able to show you me using my wheel. That would be awesome. But this is what the flyer looks like on my wheel. Hopefully I can get this all working and I can actually be using a wheel. I have done more on my drop spindle since the wheel wasn't working quite right. I went back to drop spindle for a little bit. Not a whole lot to show you there. I'm not even going to show you that because it's going to look exactly the same as before. We're pretty much the same, a little bit more yarn on it, but not all that much difference. Okay, so that's pretty much it for TB strings and things. That's pretty much what I have done. But now I want to talk to you about what to expect coming up this summer. Now, let's talk about events. Okay, June 10 and 11, I will be in Chicago at Andersonville Midsummer Fest. That is the festival that takes place in the community of Andersonville in north side of Chicago. And there's going to be like 10,000 people there during those 2 days. It's a large event, very popular festival. So that is what I've been making a lot of product for, preparing for. And there's the stress level of not having enough product done. But if you are in Chicago or could be in Chicago during the weekend of June 10 and 11, it would be great for you to stop by my booth. It's going to say Butterfield Alpaca Ranch across the top. I'll be walking around with the green t-shirt that also says Butterfield Alpaca Ranch. So, yeah, myself or anyone in my family or friends that are going to be helping out will all be having those green shirts that say Butterfield Alpaca Ranch. If you see any of us, then we can show you where the booth is. But it'd be great to meet those of you who watch this podcast. Another thing that has my stress level higher is shearing. By the time this video is published, it'll probably be shearing days. It's going to be the Friday and Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. And honestly, this is the most stressful time of the year for me when it comes to alpacas. I don't like shearing. It is labor intensive. It is exhausting. It is stressful for the animals and the people. It is harvest time, so it's exciting when it's done and you have all the fiber and then you can make stuff with it. But the process to get the fiber off the animals is not fun. I don't enjoy it. I'm not gonna... Last year was the first year that I sheared myself, and that added stress. The reason I decided to start shearing myself is because I had acquired enough animals, or too many animals, in order to make it financially feasible to hire someone to shear. This year, it would cost me $1,000 to have someone come and shear my herd. Now, they could come and they would have it done in a matter of, 4 hours. They could probably knock out my entire herd. That would be awesome. But I don't have $1,000 to put towards that. If I had an extra $1,000 lying around, I don't know. If you asked me today, I probably would hire someone to shear. But shears, they fill up their schedules really fast. You pretty much need to schedule them preferably a year in advance. Certainly by January of that year, they are filling up their schedules. So it's also too late for me to change my mind about shearing on my own. But really, it comes down to money. I have too many animals to hire someone to do it. So I've had to learn how to do it myself. And it's not fun. That's all I'm saying. So if you are someone who prays, please be praying this weekend that stress level remains low, that no one gets hurt or cut or nothing horrible happens, and that we really can get all the animals done in those 2 days. Because if it's not those 2 days, I have to do shearing next week, which is the week before I need to leave for the vendor event, and it's all just too much. It is what it is. So, all right, so, yes, so, let's talk about so. I say so a lot. In July, there's 3 events coming up that I would love to go to. One I will be at for sure. The other 2 I'm not so sure. July 8th is a fiber sorting class near me. Shepherd's Mill, which you saw in a previous episode, they are hosting a fiber sorting class on July 8th, which is a Saturday. So that'll be taking place in Phillipsburg. I believe it'll be in Phillipsburg. But anyway, they are hosting it. They're bringing someone in to teach about sorting. And I will be there. I will be videoing it as much as I can for you, filming as much as I can. That is an essential part for raising alpacas. Unless you can sort your alpaca's fiber, you have no clue what that fiber should become. Different grades of fiber mean different things. Grades 1 through 6 is what our scale is. And did I talk about this in a previous episode? I did talk about it in a previous video I did back in January, but I don't think I've talked about it in an episode. Anyway, I will go into it more during the episode featuring that fiber sorting class. But honestly, based on the grade it tells you what that fiber should become. It's not all the same, and it's true for any type of animal fiber. It's not all the same. It should not all be the same thing. So July 8th, yes. Then July 14 and 16 is the Alpaca Owners Association Fleece Conference. I really, really wanted to go to this, but it's going to cost me $1,000 just to make the trip. Between the airfare, the hotel, the conference itself, meals and things like that, it's going to actually be over $1,000. I priced it out. I itemized everything that I could think of, and that's just not a realistic expense for me. I was disappointed for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's a fleece conference, and I'm all about alpaca fiber, and that's what this conference is all about. Like, that's the total point of it, and I'm not going to be there. It's in Sacramento, so that is one reason the cost for me going is so high. I'm in the middle of the country, and to get to the coast, either coast, to do anything, it's going to cost me that much. But also, I was asked to be a presenter at this conference about social media marketing. This podcast is one of those reasons why. Social media marketing is something that alpaca owners really do need to learn more about. There's not a lot of information out there specifically to our industry. I really would love to speak about that and help people market their businesses on social media, but I won't be there. But I have some other ideas instead that I'm going to suggest to AOA that I can help them out with. So once those things are solidified and I have things to tell you, then I will let you know what's going on with that. If you would like to sponsor me to be able to go to this conference, I would certainly appreciate it. There's nothing official put together for you to donate to that or anything, but at this point, I just foresee that I'm not going to be able to go. The final thing happening in July is CGOA conference, the Crochet Guild of America conference. Let's see, those dates are July 26th to 29th, and this one is in Chicago, which means much greater chance of me being able to go. I do enjoy traveling. I have not done a whole lot of it in the last 5 years since I've had alpacas. And if you're going to own livestock, this is something you need to consider. You can't just up and leave and do what you want. You have to have someone being able to take care of your animals. I have people lined up to take care of them when I go to Chicago for Andersonville's Midsummerfest. But yeah, the added expense to go to either of these conferences is going to be paying someone to take care of my animals while I'm gone. Yeah, having those people is not always easy. I do have some people that will help me, but, you know, I can't just expect that everything will work out. As for going to the CGOA conference, financially, that is much more likely. Chicago's closer. I can drive the whole way there. I can stay with my parents, so I'm not in a hotel. And the conference itself, I don't think costs that much. It's pretty comparable to what the AOA Fleece Conference would cost me. I would be gone the same number of days, so I would still be paying someone to take care of my animals pretty much the same amount. But yeah, we'll see. It would be great to be able to go to all these events and show you all of them, because I think you'd be interested in stuff that comes out of all that, but I'm not so sure. As July happens, I'll let you know. So amongst all that, I don't really know how often I'm going to be releasing episodes. Certainly not every week, but I'm going to do it as often as I can. Then we get into August, and I'm going to have family here for most of the month. And that does present a challenge time-wise for me to be able to produce episodes. But we'll see. I'm going to do my best. I enjoy making these podcasts for you. I enjoy the community that we are building here based on alpacas and fiber arts. I love talking with you all. So I'm going to be bringing episodes to you as often as I can. Just don't expect them every week for the summer. That'll do it for episode 8 of the Butterfield Alpacas and Fiber Arts podcast. Remember to join the discussion over on the Ravelry group, especially for the KAL coming up June 1st. I'll see you on the next episode.